We're checking in with school districts across mid-Missouri on how return plans are going. This morning we are joined by Miss Kenya Fimler, who is the principal and president of Helias Catholic High School in Jefferson City. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Good morning, Molly. Thanks for having me.
And so first, can you kind of talk about what the options are for students and families at Helias for the 2020-21 school year?
You know, Molly, we think it's in the best interest of students to learn in person. And right now, there's no online learning option unless we are forced to go to online learning school-wide. We're working through with our vulnerable students on a case-by-case basis, but we expect all of our students to return to us in person on August 17th.
Perfect. And can you talk about the changes the school will be making to keep people safe from COVID-19 in your schools?
We made a decision very early this spring to move from a 7-period day to an 8-period day because it reduced the number of students in each class. And that decision is allowing us to social distance in each of those classrooms. So instead of a classroom of 25, most of our classrooms are now in classrooms of 15 or 17 students. And we've balanced those numbers. So in almost every classroom, we can now socially distance. It required some creativity. Our chemistry teacher is now teaching in the dance room because that classroom needed to be larger. We have teachers who have gratefully moved classrooms, adjusted their schedules, teaching things that they taught previously but not recently. So just kudos to our teachers who are being really flexible with spacing and course offerings for our students.
And so you're having in-person classes this year. So will students and teachers be required to wear masks in school?
So we are going to have students and teachers wear masks and everywhere they cannot social distance. So hallways, passing periods, on a bus if they're transporting to an athletic event. We believe that masks will help us, reduce that spread in our own community, but also provide a safer environment in those high traffic areas.
And will you be providing masks to both students and teachers?
Yes, so we'll be providing masks to students. We have a legion of moms who sewed all kinds of blue and gold masks at the beginning of the school year. In addition, staff are being issued 2 clear masks, a face shield, and several cloth masks for daily use because we understand that it's not going to be a one-day thing. It's an ongoing endeavor to be safe, and so we're going to make sure that they're well equipped to do so.
That's awesome to hear. And will there be any changes to attendance policies for students or sick leave for teachers as well?
Teachers actually will be given 10 extra sick leave days for direct leave to COVID-related absences. So whether it is a positive of a family member, a testing, those extra days will be applied. Students, we've reevaluated our attendance policies to allow for more flexibility, for more understanding if students are sick, longer times when they come back. And so I think we've really looked at a proactive approach to student and teacher sick leave.
Awesome. And then what is the plan for if someone tests positive for COVID-19 in the school?
We got a really good trial run this summer. We had a coach who tested positive, and we got a really good fire drill about how we would handle that situation. We will work very closely with our Cole County Health Department, who responds in a very timely manner, and running that contact investigation to identify whether it's a small group, a large group, and then kind of follow those protocols which were outlined. Actually, DESE and the Missouri Department of Health released those guidelines yesterday as well, so we'll be following those similar guidelines.
And then are there extra sanitization measures in place as well? And if so, what are they?
So we've actually purchased several, an air purifier for every classroom, all common spaces. Anywhere that's a frequently touched spot, handrails will be done in between class periods. All the surfaces, each classroom will be cleaned in between transition periods. So I think we have a very good plan in place for those areas which are high touch surfaces.
And so in general, can you talk a bit how school will look different for students at the high school this year?
So one big thing is our students are moving from a 7-period day to an 8-period day. That change allows us to social distance in classrooms, which will hopefully allow us to be in school in person longer in case there's a rising number of cases in Cole County.
Makes sense. And what kind of events, clubs, or sports will be allowed at the school, and how will those look different?
Right now we would be considered in a green, which means we would have as many clubs and activities as we can safely hold. Obviously, spectators might look a little bit differently, but we're hopeful that our students are going to get the opportunity to return back to those sports and clubs and activities that really make a high school experience. I can't say that we're going to have a large dance with 500 kids in a gym again, but I think we're trying to find creative ways to make sure our students are still very much engaged in the school process of school.
That's great news for them. And will there be any adjustments in curriculum in order to catch up on subjects that might have been missed out on last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
We brought our teachers in for 3 days in early June to address this very specific question. We did some technology integration. We also worked on how will we assess what students have learned or maybe not have learned. I think each of our teachers has a plan to make sure that we are covering those standards, that make sure we can catch up our students who maybe fell a little bit behind, but also accelerate that learning for students to make sure that they are really ready when they graduate, which is the ultimate goal with their time with us.
That's awesome. And if there is a need to go all online this semester, are you prepared for that as well?
Absolutely. We have worked very hard to develop some online learning expectations, to do a lot more technology work with our teachers. I think in March, what we did was emergency learning, maybe not even real online learning. And so now we have a much better plan in place to facilitate true, authentic learning and in an online format if we need to.
All right. That's great information. And thank you so much again for joining us this morning, Ms. Fimler.
Thank you, Molly.
Thanks.